listening to Sandyland with Sandy Bernhard.
Open up your eyes, spice.
I'm talking to one of my favorite artists and a good friend, Tori Amos. We've known each other for a long time. And she has a beautiful new album out that I've had the opportunity to listen to the other day, Ocean to Ocean. And you can pre-order the vinyl before it comes out January 28th at ToriAmos.com. Everybody wants a vinyl these days. These songs are like, I mean, there's some instant classics. I don't have the list in front of me. Which is the song New York to, is it New York to Cornwall?
Swim to New York State.
I don't know if that is your first single. I don't know if people do singles anymore. I don't know anything about the music business anymore. Maybe you don't either.
I don't either.
Maybe nobody knows anything about anything, especially coming out, well, not even barely coming out of the pandemic. But I just love that song.
Good. It took a lot. It took a lot to get there. It took a lot of personal trial and trauma and I don't know, self-examination to get there and write that. It's a love song really to my husband.
Oh, wow. And what about it was so challenging?
Well, I guess because I had written a different song. I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. We've known each other for so long. I feel like you're just going to know, like, Tor, you're not spilling the beans here. So I'm just going to tell you, I had written a different song. It is called Ballerina. Mm-hmm. And it was in the last batch of songs that I ditched. And then this record started to come. But this song was about someone having an affair. A man having an affair with a younger woman, a ballerina.
Okay.
And so I had written it in such a way that people hearing it thought that it was exactly mine and Mark's story. And he spent over 25 years not having an affair. And I thought, okay, so in order to write a good song here, I've compromised somebody. And it just wasn't working. The muses kind of said to me, you know, you need to look at what you're possibly destroying. And so I dropped that song. Maybe somebody else should sing that song one day. It's a valid song, but it's not my song to sing. And so then Swim to New York State came in the reality that I might write a song that gave the impression that this true blue guy did this terrible thing to me, and he didn't do it to me. He's been the best husband ever.
That's a very complicated explanation. I mean, and I don't want to be. I mean, of course, the prurient side of me wants to like dig in and like be gossipy, but I won't, because it's not nice. And if it's about a friend or somebody else, then it's none of my business. But because you also offered up the truth, so I'm not going to go any deeper. But of course, it's so totally intriguing, and it sounds like a movie.
Well, sometimes I think the last how many months have we been going through this? It mm-hmm. is a strange film noir, mm-hmm. Where some days I would feel like I had a handle on what was happening and that I could juggle this mad world we were in. Not just the pandemic, but no live music, that off the table. And we've known each other again for a long time. And we know what live performing is for some of us. It's our lifeblood. And with that
Absolutely.
Gone, without being able to connect with the audience. And for me, Zoom just, it's not the same as the voltage of a concert. You know.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. I mean, it's if somebody has started off in this business and on the internet, on social media, then that's what they're used to. But they're not the brave people that we know and love. And when you go out week after week, year after year, and commit to that life and that struggle of being on the road, only you and I and the people we love know what that's like. And if you don't do it, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about the people who just do it on the internet. I'm not that impressed by it.
Well, I think you don't get, what you don't get is this communion of energy in the same room. And it's almost like, Sandy, that has become warning, warning. If you're together with other people in a room, you're going to catch something terrible. And I've always caught something wonderful. I'm talking about live performance.
Yeah.
I've caught an energy, frequency. I've caught something that just takes me to a place of joy, exuberance, connection. And I know you and your live performing, I know you felt that when you're one with that audience. It's like, oh my God, twin flames, thousands of us together that are traveling through the galaxy together. And there's this sharing that happens. And that, for me, happens in live performance, because you can feel the electricity. And again, that word, the voltage that you feel in a room together.
It's indescribable. And what people don't understand, unless you're not only an artist but an avid performance participant, is that each night is unique. It's like a snowflake, or it's like a crystal. There's only one of those experiences, and when it's done, and you never want it to be done, you want it just to go on for 10 days. And if you had the wherewithal to do it, you would. But nobody understands that. It's like when you leave, it's almost like you're in mourning, because that moment will never exist again. There'll be another incredible moment, maybe even the next night. But there's something about each performance where you leave it and go, God, we were all together, and the combination of those people in those seats in that moment with those emotions and wherever they were at that time, you are the catalyst to bringing everybody together, to elevating them, to maybe saving some people. We don't always know what impact we have as performers, but I know somebody.
And then saving me. Sometimes they save us, Sandy. Sometimes, depending on the day,
Exactly. I mean, and I know you are one of those rare performers who brings complete, authentic, emotion to every single performance. I've seen you, and I know, when you sit there at that piano, you're plugged in. You're plugged into the higher powers in the universe, and it's so important. So that is a question. Do you have any idea when you'll go back to live performing?
We're set to go. Berlin is the first date in February 2022. Tickets are on sale. We've kicked the American tour down the road twice now, not once, but twice, that's never happened to me. And I don't know if you've had to push shows, down.
I did, but I finally have started to perform again. I've just done 8 shows successfully. Yeah.
What is that like?
Successfully.
What's that like? Tell me.
Amazing. Every time I walk out on stage, I have to I'm not prone to crying. That's not really my, I mean, I do cry a lot in life, but I don't necessarily cry when I'm on stage. So there is that moment when I stand there before I even say anything, and I just look at people and just go and shake my head and close my eyes, because everybody knows exactly what we're all feeling. And it's just a visceral combination of everything we've been going through, we're still going through, and breaking through to be on stage with people. So your tour in America are there dates pushed, or is it on hold? What's happening with that?
We're hoping to announce soon, but it looks like late spring. That's what it looked, and early summer.
Okay.
That's what it's looking like right now.
Good. Great. Because this album is going to take hold, and it's going to really have a huge impact. Do you think so? Yeah, I do. I really listen to it, and I love your music. But there's something about this album, the cohesiveness, the through line, the storyline it's just different. It's just next level, And I think that for all of us as performers and people who write, and artists and songwriters, you can't keep writing great, perfect songs that gel every single time, but there's something about this album that I really feel is just different and huge, and I hate saying a throwback because it's not a throwback. It's where you are now, but it just picks up on something, that I think people are really, really going to relate to.
I was getting letters from people when I was, at my kind of, I call it blue phase. And again, it was after the insurrection and what happened after that, and just the madness that was going on and the sadness for all of us. And I had to step out of anger because that wasn't working. That just wasn't working. And I thought, okay, I have songs that express anger, but that's not what I need. So the letters I was getting, that's not what they needed either.
No.
I got letters from people on the front line that were getting spat at, who are medical and helping people. And it was just seeing what people were going through, the different challenges. And I thought, okay, this needs to be met with something. So what can I bring? Well, in Cornwall, you're by Earth Mother. She's everywhere. We're in the middle of nowhere. So this studio is 300 years old. I know. I have a green screen. I don't know how many people are lucky enough to have a green screen in Cornwall, but I have, a nerdy husband. So, but I'm in the middle of farm country, and then not far from the ragged, ferocious, gorgeous cliffs of Cornwall, where you can hear the waves crashing 20 minutes. And then there are the trees and the gales that blow. And I walked outside and said, Earth Mother is not under house arrest.
That's brilliant.
She's thriving. She's fertile. She's ancient. She's thousands of years old, and she is moving those hips. And she's in a place of fecundity. And I thought,
Great word.
I need to be there.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm so glad. And I feel the same way. I mean, just so much of what I do is always propelled, and I hate to use the word anger. It's just outrage and strength, but sometimes it comes across as anger, and I was just like, God, I still have that, but I'm just so tired of it. It's a burden, and I'm just like, I'm shedding it. I'm shedding it and going deeper, and if we haven't culled anything from the pandemic, then we never will. We have to change. We have to evolve as a culture, as a species. Otherwise, we're simply not going to survive.
That's right. And apply the wisdom of the snakes, which you just said. Shed your skin. And the wisdom of the snake. Eat that apple leaf. Yeah, I'm eating that apple. They're in the back garden. They're in the back garden down here in Cornwall. And I think getting to the little veg patch was I want to send you a picture of the tomatoes and the pumpkins that they're over now. But it was just, I didn't do it. Sam and his mom are these amazing Cornish people who brought the veg patch to life. And it was their contribution. And in Cornwall, it became like a little community here at Martian Studios, because we're a business, and we're able to keep working, not in certain segments of the lockdown, but in other segments we were. And so being surrounded by nature like this was kind of, I think I was too busy, Sandy, to really, really sit in it. I mean, really sit in it, get my feet in it, and get my boots dirty in it, and, the muddy puddles, and ruin my boots, and just be like a little snorting piglet, happy as can be in the mud.
I mean, if it's there, why wouldn't you? I mean, I'm just so inspired that you're over there and you thrive and you're happy. And I mean, do other artists come over and record at your studio?
It's been pretty locked up for a while, but we're starting to open it up.
But under normal circumstances, you have other artists come and rent your space.
They can if they would like. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So your routine during the pandemic, was there a routine, or was the songwriting did it just come as things just sort of unfolded every day? I mean, what was it like for you guys over there during the past year and a half?
The first lockdown, the routine was different. we didn't know what to expect, just like you guys. And Tash brought her boyfriend down, and what we thought would be 2 weeks was 5 months. He had somebody immune compromised in his family, and so we thought it was the best thing for them to come down here because they'd been in London at uni, so they had been exposed to all these people.
Right.
Therefore, once all universities were closing, we thought, okay, best that they come down here because we've got the recording studio. He's a bass player studying jazz at Guildhall, and she's studying international relations and Arabic over at SOAS. So
Oh my God.
she was in her room doing her study. Mark, my husband, set him up in his own world of music. And then we had the studio rocking. And that was they were very busy with classes, and we were doing the virtual book tour. I talked with you, I believe, during that.
Right. Yeah, we did. We did talk.
So we talked during
Amazing.
that time. And then we realized we had to move the tour. We put out the Christmastide EP. Second lockdown came really different for Cornwall because we weren't in that harsh tier. So we were kind of, okay. But then after the madness of we know what happened in America after the election, and everybody on the edge of their seats. I don't know if America realizes sometimes everybody's on the edge of their seats when democracy is hanging by a thread. When a system of government, not who, but a system is just being completely burned to the ground, and the aftermath of how some of our elected leaders responded to that, I realized you put it correct. Shed. I have to shed, and that wasn't easy to do. I needed to sit in the silence, shed, and that was my routine. Read. Tash would show me documentaries when she had a break from class, and we would, share every night at dinner. And then finally, after I'd been in this place of, I call it despondency, then songs started to come to me once I'd walked away from those that, as you say in your work, you felt maybe too brash. You didn't want to be part of a certain energy field anymore.
Exactly. No, you had to clear all the pipes, when the pipes get backed up with sediment. It was just like blowing them out. Tori Amos is in Sandyland, and I'm always so happy when she's here because she brings an honesty, a truth, and a calmness that we all need. And it reverberates not only in her singing, but in her speaking and her thoughts, which get translated into her new album, Ocean to Ocean. I highly recommend it. It's a story. It's an evolution. It's a journey. And I think I don't like to categorize people's music, but I love it. That's all I'm going to say. I love it. I think I have excellent taste in music, and I think it's an essential listening. And I know it's going to be a huge hit. I see it. When I see things, it always happens. And people are going to be listening and waiting and buying tickets and going to see and listening to the music. And it's going to not only, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry, Tori. I always do this. I'm editorializing, but I can't help it because when I get excited about a friend and an artist doing a great piece of work, you want to go a little deeper than just when you have to fake it with certain people. So I never have to fake it with you. Anyway, so now you're just getting ready for this album. It's coming out. You're plugged back in. Are you excited about in anticipation of getting back to life in the way it was, but different?
I am, and I'm looking forward to sharing what their experiences are with the songs. That's always something that, wow, it's an adventure because somebody will come up and say, this is what I think this means. And I've said this before, but the muses have always told me their opinion is valid. You might not have thought of it before, but listen, because it might inspire something else as well. And you need to be open to how people are dancing with the music, making friends with them, challenging them. What friendships are being created once people meet the new songs? So I'm looking forward to that.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. Will you tour with your musicians? Will some dates be solo? What does it all look like from here?
That's a very good question. We're working that out right now. I think you of all people will realize when you have a tour booked, say for October 2020, and everybody's lined up and scheduled and committed. And of course, people make commitments sometimes 2 years ahead.
Right.
That then you can lose certain people, not because you don't love them and they don't, they're not supportive and loving, but it just can happen that when dates change, then they can, interfere or intersect with other commitments that people get made. So we're working through all that. All
Right.
of this, as you're talking about, I'm sure with your live show, you're having to work through things that we didn't have to really think about before, because we could plan 18 months in advance, 2 years in advance.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
knew we were going to have a meet and greet. I didn't have to worry
Yes.
about, that.
Meet and greet. That is a word. I mean, we had to get very creative at one date about the meet and greet. I had to stand on a little balcony and talk down to people. So it was, I don't mean talk down to them, but I had to stand above them and they all understood. So yeah, the meet and greet is like a big deal.
It is a big, and it's important. So
Yeah.
how did you do it? Is that how you did it? You found a place
Yeah.
in the venue.
Yeah, and I stood there was literally a little balcony. It was more like a club setting, and people were down below, and I did a little talk about what it's been like, and they asked questions, and we just sort of bantered, and they got it, they appreciated it, they knew it was for everybody's safety, and on we went, and people are just so understanding now.
That's great. And so what are the rules where you are? Is everybody masked up, or
Yes.
is it?
Yeah. Well, some of the clubs where they eat, they're not, but everybody had to prove proof of vaccination, and everybody in my bubble, I'm making get tested, before the shows, which is really important because when you're together with your people, you want to know that you can just let it rip. You don't want to be like scared of standing on stage with your musicians and
Of
not
course,
sharing. Yeah.
I agree with you. There's a responsibility when you're a touring group and you have however many people on your buses, and
Oh.
there is a responsibility to keep everybody safe. And I have a sister who's a doctor who's drumming that into my head. Like, do not get caught up. You have to be responsible. If you're going to tour, we also have to work within what are the rules of the venue, what is happening. There's a lot to juggle, I think.
It is a lot. It adds a whole other layer of exhaustion because ultimately it's, if you're the artist, it's on your shoulders and you have to lay down the law, and sometimes people get irritated or pissed off or they don't want to do it, and it's just like, it's too bad because you're doing it for yourself and them and the whole experience. So I'm glad your sister is telling you that, and don't be feel embarrassed or ashamed or weird that you're laying down the law, but it has to come from you. So that's just the way the world is now. I don't know. It's a very strange thing, but that's a sidebar. I mean, you'll have a successful tour. Things will get better and better because it'll be happening more and more. But the most important thing is that you're such a vital artist, and everything that you touch, I'm talking to Tori Amos in the last couple of minutes in Sandyland today, everything you always touch is done with such care and such love, whether it is your personal relationships, your husband, your daughter, or friends, or what you put into your artistry. I mean, you never phone it in, and you're willing to go to the deepest parts of your emotion and psyche to continue to reflect what you do. And it's just, that's where it's at. And that's why you're so vital and so important. And everybody's so excited to know that this new album is coming out, Ocean to Ocean. And you can pre-order the vinyl, which is always where everybody's at now. It comes out January 28th at ToriAmos.com. Do something special for yourself. Get Tori Amos on vinyl. And go back to a time when you heard scratches and emotion in your music listening. will you keep in touch with me and let me know? I don't know. Just let me know.
Yes.
And I want to come to your shows. And if you ever need an opening act for a date where somebody falls out or something happens, just give me a ring, because I'd love to be on stage with you sometime. I think that should happen. And I know I know they always bring people in who like sell more tickets, and I would never suggest you put me on your tour because I'm not that person. But once in a while there might be a special situation that works out and I can open for you, and then maybe I can come and sit next to you and sing a song or something.
I'd love that. And we should really sing Little Red Corvette for everyone. Remember that one?
Just the way,
80s?
well, I remember that you came in and did backup vocals on my live album from it was 1988, and it's just remarkable that I've been so privileged to have you do something for me that, I mean, I just don't even, it's indescribable. But I've known you for a long time, and I continue
And
to
you
be
gave me
inspired.
you gave me some of the best advice. I found myself somewhere at some party, waiting tables or doing something, and you came up to me. It was some mucky muck Hollywood thing, and you knew me from doing BVs, and you just came up to me and said, "Tori, what are you doing here?" Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
You said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, this is where it's all happening." And you said, "No, it's not. It's happening back with your music. You go back to your music and you will get where you need to go. You don't need to be here. This is a waste of your time." And I just looked at you like, oh my God. And you know what? I took my ass out of there and went back to the music. So thanks, Sandy.
Hey, guess what? I was right. I always
You were
am, though,
right.
Tori. Some things never change. Tori Amos, you're unbelievable. I love you. And please,
I
please,
love you.
please, please, let's be in touch and just stay in the zone and be safe. And what can I say? It's always an honor to have Tori Amos in Sandyland. Have a fabulous week, everybody. And I love you, Tori.
I love you, honey. Can't wait to see you on the road. And you come sing
know
with
it.
me. Okay?
I'll be there
Bye-bye.
with bells on.